guys? Welcome to another day of the SSL. I'm Tasteless, and with me is a new co-host, GTR. How are you doing, man?
I'm doing very well today, and I'm really excited for these games. This is the first round of the losers bracket.
That's right.
And if you lose here, you go home.
That's it, you're dead.
You have to wait till next season until you have another chance at the title, and these games are so sick this week.
This week is going to be absolutely fantastic. Overall, I got to say, this tournament, it's intense. The players are really good, but also with best of threes, very unforgiving.
Yes, definitely. There's like small margin of error that you have with being a best of three, as you mentioned before. In a best of 5 or best of 7, you have that time to download your opponent, figure out what they're doing. In a best of 3, if you lose that first game, you've only got one more game until you can. You get
knocked out. I mean, you get cheesed. I mean, anything can happen. It's pretty crazy. We've already seen a good amount of upsets so far in the SSL. Thank God we have a losers bracket now.
Yes.
The people have spoken, and SPO TV has listened. And so a lot of our favorite players tonight, are going to be getting a second chance.
So right here on the screen, we see how the losers bracket will work out. So losers round 1, which is the round we will be casting tonight for you guys out there, will be the losers from the round of 16 playing against each other. The next round will be the winners. The losers from round 2 rather, and they'll be playing the winners of losers round 2, and the rest is on the screen.
I actually have to say, this is like the most convoluted graphic. Okay, guys, I'm going to put it in English, all right? See these brackets, if you're knocked out, it's just like any other bracket you've ever seen anywhere.
Any other double
where there
bracket.
Is a loser's bracket, because when I looked at that, I'm like, what?
I'm pretty sure just if you see the bracket and you've followed sports before, any other tournament where there's a double elimination system, it's all the same.
Yes, it's a more traditional bracket that we're using down here. This is what a lot of the older StarCraft tournaments look like. Very unforgiving, sort of a climbing the mountain, king of the mountain style.
And if you get kicked off, then you get to the losers bracket, but you have to climb up again. It's not like a simulation.
That's right.
Yeah.
And we had that bracket format for a while, and then especially in the very early days of StarCraft, round robin became popular. And then when GSL came out, we ended up doing these group systems. But in this case, in this tournament, and I like the change. I think it's really nice.
I think it's nice to distinguish yourself from the other tournament that we have here in the GSL.
That's right.
Double elimination tournament.
So this is really exciting that we have this losers bracket here now. I thought it was pretty cool that we just had any bracketed tournament to begin with, but I think having the losers bracket, especially with best of threes early on, probably pretty necessary. By the way, guys, come on down to the Nexon Arena. This studio is probably the most well-placed studio in esports.
In Gangnam, which is a lovely area.
We're right in Gangnam. It's pretty cool. I mean, you literally walk outside and there's bars and clubs and restaurants and places to shop.
Shopping if you want to do that as well.
Everything. So definitely come down here. You can come meet us, say hi, and see the pro gamers play in person. Anyways, on to our first match.
Okay, so our first match here is aLive against MyuNgSiK. aLive, as you see there, on the new team, Africa Freaks, was just recently acquired the old Spenu team.
That's my favorite team.
Yep.
The Africa Freaks, man.
Yeah, it's a pretty sick name.
That's good, and not to mention, I mean, of course, Africa doing the GSL. I'm just going to lie to you guys right here and say I'm the coach of the Africa Freaks, all right, because nobody's going to be here to stop me. No, but seriously, Africa picking up where Sabenu had left off.
Yes.
Really cool of them. Allowing us to not only have more support here in esports for these teams, but also we now have enough teams to have a proper pro league coming up here.
Definitely. As we see here, the maps for this game between aLive and MyuNgSiK. First game will be Orbital Shipyard, second game will be Ruins of Ceres, and lastly, if we need it, the third game will be on Dust Towers.
Also, let's not leave MyuNgSiK out here. This guy, a very solid player, one of the better Protosses that's out there. But before we go on with that, let's take a look at the two players and what their thoughts are before this match.
네, 안녕하세요. 잠은 잘 주무셨어요, 어제?
네.
그 차 타고 오면서 혹시 무슨 생각했어요?
그냥 오늘 토스강 마지막 그 패치전인데 나 그냥 마지막 희생자 되겠구나라고 생각했어요.
네, 혹시 지옥에서 돌아온 느낌 어때요?
그냥 좀 감사할 따름이고요. 더 노력해서 좋은 모습 보여드리겠습니다.
오늘 이길 수 있을 것 같아요?
솔직히 패치 전이라서 많이 힘들 거라고 생각하고 있는데 그냥 할 수 있는 데까지는 한번 해보려고 노력하고 있습니다.
네, 그럼 오늘 각오 간단하게 한마디 할게요.
우선 패치 전 마지막 테란과 토스 경기라고 생각하고 있는데요. 그냥 좀 아쉽긴 하지만 그냥 좋은 모습 보여드리도록 노력하겠습니다. 감사합니다.
네, 감사합니다. 어제 잠은 잘 잤어요?
네, 잠 많이 자고 왔어요.
네, 차 타고 오면서 무슨 생각했어요?
그냥 오늘은 이기겠지 이런 생각하면서 뭐 크게 별 생각 없이 왔어요.
네,
네.
그 사도 패치됐는데 어떤 것 같아요?
사도 패치됐는데 제 생각보다는 크게 안 와닿는 것 같아서 좀 더 게임을 해봐야 알 것 같아요.
혹시 지옥에서 살아 돌아온 느낌이 어때요?
사실 지옥으로 올 줄 몰랐거든요. 제게 자신감이 있었는데 지옥으로 떨어지게 돼서 경기 방식 바뀐 게 너무 좋게 와닿더라고요.
오늘 이길 수 있어요?
네, 오늘 이기려고 왔습니다.
그러면 각오 한마디 할게요.
오늘 이기고 패자조에서 우승까지 하는 게 멋있잖아요. 그런 모습 보여드리겠습니다. 네.
Well, that was really interesting. I think my favorite part of that interview is the part where aLive is done talking. He's finished talking, okay? And then there's this moment where he just sort of
Walks down the stairs.
He just sort of rotates very slowly away from the camera and walks down the stairs. I thought that was pretty funny.
It felt like he was like a Dark Lord Sith with the hoodie on. He's like,
Yeah.
I'm here to save Terran against Protoss here tonight. And he just walks slowly in. He just needed that
Slowly
Star Wars
exits.
music. Yeah.
It's going to be an interesting day. There is a patch coming out very soon, but unfortunately these guys are going to have to finish these games today in this current iteration of StarCraft 2.
And we all know that MyuNgSiK really favors that adept Phoenix play that has been really prevalent in this current state of the game.
Yeah. Well, we've seen this a lot, regardless of where you're watching StarCraft 2. I mean, the adept, it's just a very strong unit, and it's very strong for a lot of different reasons. You know, the fact that it can shade in and out of situations, the fact that it's ranged, it can two-shot workers. Terrans especially having a difficult time with that. It comboed with the Warp Prism is a pretty terrifying thing. We have seen some Terrans manage to handle adept pressure early on, but I think nobody here is really denying that it can be pretty tricky to deal with early on, and that does put Terran in a difficult position.
For sure, I definitely think that in that early game, it does favor Protoss a lot because of how powerful those adepts are. But once you get to that mid to late game, when the Terran can get those 2, 3, 4 bases up, they get that gas to get the Liberators. When those Liberators are out on the map, it is very hard for the Protoss to deal with.
It's pretty incredible. It's almost like the new form of a siege tank. Terran can really hold off pretty much an endless amount of Protoss units if they just have their Liberators set up properly. So it's, I don't want to say it's like Mech Brood War, but I feel like you can kind of get down this tunnel.
Sort of like zoning thing that, because
where Protoss can't really engage.
Go through because they know that they're going to get hit by Liberators. And with the changes to the siege tank where you can pick them up and move them around, it's kind of changed the dynamic of Terran, how it's played.
Yeah, I mean, the way that they can siege you, the way they can contain you, the way that they engage you, it's turned into a very different matchup. Again, it's still very early on here in Legacy of the Void. We're still seeing the meat and bones form for what the meta is going to look like as these players are at the helm of how we understand the game and how, you know, what we're learning, what we're all copying on the ladder. Let's see what they got in store for us here on one of the last few days of this iteration here in Legacy of the Void. Our game is now loading up. Tell your friends to join us here. We do have an upgraded quality stream at Ding It, and we are also now on the YouTube's live stream, so you can check us out there. Anyways, guys, this is game number 1 in our first best of 3. MyuNgSiK against aLive here at the SSL. guys. This is game number 1 here. Let's do this. In the bottom left, in the red, we have aLive. And his opponent over here in the upper right, our blue Protoss player, MyuNgSiK. And we actually have a quick scout here from the Protoss.
Yeah, we have a quick scout and also a proxy, well, not really proxy barracks from aLive, but
Makarax.
Yeah, Makarax from back in the day of GSL Season 1 and 2. And I assume he wants to have that there to maybe get some Marines or Reapers closer to... I'm not really sure.
I'm actually not even sure. I actually
I don't
have
really
no
see
idea.
any benefit of it because he needs to wall in for the depths that come in.
Okay,
right?
so here's a couple things I'm thinking, right? I don't know for sure. Actually, can you check on that observer PC? Did he see the barracks? Because the Protoss might actually assume that's a proxied racks in the middle of the map, right? So you look at that. Yeah, he did not see it. Okay, we can confirm that now. So he doesn't see the barracks there. He might be assuming that, in fact, this might even be like a double racks going right over towards his main with the Reapers harassing or any other kind of cheese that Terran can throw at him. Instead, it's a very modest build. Well disguised here by aLive.
Yeah, I think...
Excuse me, I knocked the mic away from my mouth. Well disguised here by aLive.
Yeah, it's a nice sort of trick play to, maybe throw MyuNgSiK off.
Yeah.
But MyuNgSiK didn't fall for it. He put that Nexus down, and the game goes on.
The game does go on. The Reaper now coming up. Going to try to put a little bit of pressure here on this Zealot.
Interesting to see, though, MyuNgSiK opting for that Zealot first before going for and saving that first 100 or so minerals for that first Adept. So,
I think one of the things that allows us to function is that the Reaper is not really going to kill the Zealot because the Mothership Core comes out, but he has to at least be chased by the Zealot at the bare minimum. So it's something to draw him away, and you do end up with this excess of minerals, especially when you're you're doing a build like you have here. So it seems like that's the angle he's taking. Over here for aLive, we do see that he's in fact going for a tech play. He has that one Adept out on the map, and he's immediately getting a robotics facility behind that as his second base completes.
I feel that he's actually getting 2 robotics facilities, I believe, no, he's getting Twilight Council with that as well, so probably going to see that Adept upgrade from that Twilight Council. We'll have to see. Yeah, he is going to
you nailed it, GTR. We're going to see that Adept upgrade here.
And there's no doubt that I think we're going to see Warp Prism from this robotic facility.
Oh, I think 100% we're going to see that for sure. The Adept, by the way, coming in here, trying to chase this Reaper around. The Reaper has not done any substantial damage so far, and actually missed Micro there. He could have gotten a second Adept shot off, but I don't know if you want to call it stutter step Micro, but it's something similar to that, at least in the execution of it.
And I thought that Mothership Core would actually kill that Reaper off, but he lets him see those gateways. I think if he got that Reaper, maybe when MyuNgSiK put those gateways down, aLive wouldn't have not known about it. As we see now, a Liberator come here from aLive, a lot of Marines as well, is anticipating this Adept play.
Yeah, it's interesting. I think that seeing this is going to be very good for aLive. Now, let's not forget that even when Terrans know this strategy is coming, it can be pretty tough to stop. We've seen all the Terran players interviewed saying that this is just pretty difficult to deal with. So, I feel like this is one of those strategies you can almost tell your opponent you're going to do it and probably still manage to pull it off in some cases. Anyways, we do have the Warp Prism now coming out, and the pressure is going to be on here. He can start warping in a lot of Adepts while he's taking this third base.
Also note that aLive getting that Cyclone out to help deal with that Warp Prism, because I assume now, as we see on the minimap, that Liberator is going to MyuNgSiK's base to harass.
Yes, it's coming down now. You got to be careful, because if Protoss gets a good footing in your base, even if you have the idea right, the strategy right on how to try to stop this, you can end up losing everything anyways.
That's a really nicely placed turret there from aLive. Draws that Warp Prism away from aLive's base, gives him a bit more time to figure out what's happening with MyuNgSiK right now, how to deal with it, and I definitely think this Liberator will be deployed and it will get some probe shots. No.
Okay, gets one. Isn't that hilarious? Look at that. Oh my god, it's just out of range of the pylons!
Yeah, no. Like, if that pylon was placed maybe 3 or 4 hexes to the right, it could probably hit that Liberator, but unfortunately for MyuNgSiK, he made that mistake of not placing it properly, and now that Liberator has basically shut down mining of that base until he gets maybe a Phoenix. Like, I don't think Stalkers actually hit it.
Yeah, I mean, it would not be a favorable engagement if he did do that. He's actually going to send the second Liberator up here. On this map, in the main, you can also get a Liberator back there and do some more damage. So that might be what we're seeing coming up here. Now, he does have some Stalkers up, and finally does manage to take that out, but not before this other Liberator's up here ready to possibly pick another fight.
Yeah, it looks like it's just trying to figure out what the best angle is for that Liberator, so those Stalkers don't
What?
And there's a Cyclone. Is it going to hit the War Prism?
Oh, I don't even know. What? Why is the Cyclone there to begin with, but then... Oh my God, ring around the rosy. Oh! I don't even understand why the Cyclone is there.
Sick move from aLive there. I think
was that intentional?
I'm pretty sure it was intentional because, like,
wow.
MyuNgSiK has played so many games. Like, there's ladder, there's VODs.
That's true.
And I'm pretty sure that aLive studied a lot with his head coach Troyer, and he probably noticed the patterns that MyuNgSiK did on this map. And with that move was really, it's Sixth Sense basically of StarCraft that he did there.
Star Sense, man. I mean, this is actually a really impressive play. Now, the only reason why I was wondering why the Cyclone was exactly there was it didn't seem to be hugging a corner. Sometimes War Prisms are hugging around the edges, but it was just sort of by that expansion, a little bit out of range. And if let's say somebody had sent a worker there to expand, it just was kind of hilarious. It was in that spot, but I mean, that's a huge game changer. This really upsets the tempo here for MyuNgSiK, putting aLive in a pretty strong footing in this game. Oh, and is he going to be able to get the Observer?
No. Or if he stands again, he'll want it. Yeah, he gets
there he
it.
goes.
So that's really nice. That's a lot of gas down the drain there for MyuNgSiK. As we see aLive taking his third base, and that Observer doesn't actually catch a drop, Medivac rather, going by into MyuNgSiK's base. And it looks like MyuNgSiK is putting himself here for an attack.
Oh,
and
wait a
aLive's actually
minute.
moving out as well, so it's going to be really interesting how this ends out.
Yeah, he's going to drop these Widow Mines over here, and that's going to have a really nice connection there, taking out these probes. However, I thought, okay, so they're both going to just go for each other right now. Uh-oh, Immortal actually was moonwalking backwards across the map and is now being gunned down. He scans, he sees that in fact MyuNgSiK is going to try to just go in here for a base trade. Now, keep in mind, he does have force fields available, so he can
nice
to do that.
There.
But
probes. And as we see here, MyuNgSiK at the front of aLive's base, just posturing. Here's another Liberator here at the back expansion of MyuNgSiK, but it doesn't do that much damage. And I think aLive's in a really tough spot right now. He's like stuck between a rock and a hard place.
Yeah, he's going to stim again and come over here, but I mean, this is a massive warp in here. Force fields go down, pushing back some of the infantry. And as he leaps forward here, beautiful play. The Medivac manages to escape, but the rest of the army on the ground, not so much. And I think this might be a great moment for MyuNgSiK to try to press forward.
For sure. I mean, MyuNgSiK noting that opportunity when aLive landed that third base, seeing that aLive moved his army out at the same time, managed to use the map to his advantage, went around aLive's army, and now aLive's in a really tough spot, just sitting here on two base. And we've got to remember, in Legacy of Void, your bases mine out way quicker than they did in Heart of the Swarm, so aLive cannot sit in this position for much longer.
Yeah, he's aLive's in bad shape, especially after losing that engagement there. Around just outside of his would have been third base before that was relocated. It seems like he can keep applying pressure here. Now, there might be some temptation here for aLive to try to do a drop into the Protoss' main, but I think it would be a bad idea, considering that would allow Protoss to just dive right into the main here. So aLive in a defensive position, really unable to expand again.
For sure, as MyuNgSiK is just posturing, reinforcing his army with that War Prism at the front base of aLive. And aLive, it's going to be... Okay, now he goes for the drop here. I think this would be the best move because those Liberators are holding that ramp there at the expansion. Is that the same drop here? The Widow Mine drops down.
And he should get that Widow Mine. What? Nice connection there on those Stalkers. The other drop is coming over here to the upper right. With the supplies as they are, I am wondering if aLive isn't ready, if he could try to just blink up here and just get right under those Liberators. Actually, I retract that. After seeing he's got that much more, I think he's in good shape still. However, Protoss still does have the contain, and it seems like he's prepared for a possible incoming drop over here right now.
But it seems like MyuNgSiK has sniffed this out. It looks like these Stalkers going to get these Medivacs. Oh no, aLive lucky enough to get on top of that ramp here.
Yeah, he might have wanted to blink before doing the warp in. It's always hard to, prioritize your actions in a moment like that. He's going to blink forward. He's starting to chase out the medevacs, which means he will consume the rest of this army here inside of his base.
Unsure why he brought those probes out. Maybe he just wanted to stack some probes, free up some supply, as aLive still struggling to take that third base, and he is running really thin right now. Big counter drop here at MyuNgSiK's front base.
And this drop might be able to do some more damage. It's just Stalkers, which are not a favorable composition against Marine Marauder, especially with medevacs over here healing them. He's starting to chisel through. I think MyuNgSiK may have overstayed his welcome during this contain. It's really great to delay the Terran on expanding, but eventually you do need to back up. We have a lot more workers being picked off. There are more Stalkers coming down, but certainly not enough Stalkers to take care of this attack right now. He's focusing down the Nexus. Is he going to be able to get the Nexus in time? And he does!
And that's what aLive needed to get back into this game. He can finally secure his third base. He can finally get that third base running, get his economy going again. And with that drop and killing that Nexus, it's a much different ball game right now than it was 5 minutes ago.
Well, let's see if the counterattack is effective. Yes, he has Liberators, but Protoss might be able to... That's right, and he might be able to blink into a position where the Liberators can't engage, but he can still try to hit those Liberators.
Boy, some sloppy
not on the ramp,
there.
though. Now let's see how he handles this.
We'll see how he handles it. I think the best course for MyuNgSiK would be to harass from both sides of the ramp. Maybe just pick at that rock to, force that threat level to aLive, and another Liberator here. Just doing a bit more harass, but only takes that 3 probes. I don't think that was worth it.
A little bit too greedy, I think there, with the Liberator just putting that right in the middle. Probably would have been better to float that over where it would be tougher for the Stalkers to actually reach him. He does gun down. That would have been, that was a great play coming in there getting those Liberators.
And now those mules trying to surround this army of MyuNgSiK. This is aLive's last chance. And look at those storms as well. Amazing storms there from MyuNgSiK. I didn't even know that those storms were coming. I thought MyuNgSiK was just basing this on this Stalker heavily based army, and MyuNgSiK is just plowing through aLive right now.
Yeah, he's put down a bunch of great force fields. He's warping in some more Stalkers here. A few sentries here with no more energy remaining. It looks like aLive may just barely have enough to hold this.
You barely hold this in GG's because he actually holds that. And
yeah, that was crazy.
Wow. I think that was really neat with those mules surrounding that army. Can't let MyuNgSiK escape. And aLive did a really good job there. I think the turning point of that game was that drop killing that third base.
He did a good job. He took out that Nexus. He also killed off a good amount of probes. Guys, that might have looked a little bit closer than it actually was there. There was that big engagement at the front, but ultimately the economy for MyuNgSiK was in shambles in a sense. And after he lost that complex army that he had made, a lot of sentries, all those Stalkers, the Adepts, the War Prism was there as well, using Templars, all that. After losing that, it's a little bit trickier if your economy is in bad shape to rebuild that. And aLive, with a more basic composition of just Marines, Marauders, and Medevacs, which are the only units he's making constantly out of the same structures over and over and over and over and over, he would be able to win that in a nice counterattack. So great job there.
Yeah, MyuNgSiK's last attack there definitely reminded me of what we used to call in Brood War called a Hanbang, where it's like just that one attack to win or lose a game. And unfortunately for MyuNgSiK there, he couldn't get that off and he loses that first set. But that was a really good game.
Yeah, that was actually a great game. I think that was pretty good handling there by aLive. I know aLive's been a bit discouraged by Protoss as of late, not wanting to face off against many of them, but he's looking like he's got a very good, solid understanding of the game.